So let's get to our AFL fantasy review over the weekend. I've just got to say thank you very much to Zach Merrett. What a performance from him against Melbourne in Gather Round. Brought him in this week for a captaincy performance, basically. I didn't really have a feeling on much of my players who's I'm going to pick from captain. So I brought in Zach Merrett as a huge upgrade from my trade from last week to hopefully get someone who can score a good score. And my word, did Zach Merrett deliver. 134, of course, double that, 268. And my round 5 score, of course, as you can see on the screen, 2,122. Not a really good rank. I thought I would have done a little bit better than that on rank, but 1,963 over the week, so I'm pretty happy with that. My rank has gone all the way up to 2,116 after a couple of weeks in the low 10,000s. I've been able to jump into the nearly into the top 2,000 in AFL fantasy ranking at the moment. Now, looking at a couple of good players, Max Holmes has been a bit up and down this season, but 133 from him against the Crows was brilliant. The Bison Trainer show as the rookies, 94 and 90. You love to see it. Of course, Zach Merrett, great job from him. Connor Rosie with the 126. Looks like he's playing a little bit more of a half-back role, maybe. So good job from him. The Ashcroft brothers, 101 to Will. Levi with the 94, brilliant. Max Gorn with the 118, really good performance. And Jason Horne-Francis as well with the 100. So really good performances from all of them. Zach Reed I didn't have in the team, but 90, I love that. And also El Harley with the 73. Started as the sub, came on early, but he had really good performance as well. Now, there were a couple of lower lights that I do want to take a look at. Sam de Koning, only 56. Unfortunately, with Reece Stanley coming to the team, he's not getting much of that ruck role anymore. So 56, pretty disappointing. Xavier Lindsay and Murphy Reed, I was really hoping that those guys could score, but unfortunately not too good. Tom de Koning, I don't know what happened to him. Against the West Coast Eagles, you thought he'd absolutely thrive. Didn't really look interested in the game when I was there, to be honest. So Tom de Koning only got 75 points. Jack McRae, you give him a little bit of a reprieve considering he was tagged by Toby Bedford, but 59, not the greatest, of course. And players like Closey was the sub, 19, not the greatest. Moraes just seems to have not really came on for Port Adelaide on the wings. I'll be interested to see how much longer he holds on to his spot. Kako and Stone, mid-40s, really not doing good for me at the moment, but I think they're starting to bottom out, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to sell them and then go for the upgrade. But my brother's team over the weekend had a pretty poor performance, I will say. Now, he did get a little bit unlucky for the fact that he went for the captaincy, Tom de Koning. He thought, like me, that he would have a really, really good week, but unfortunately really didn't respond. Only got 75, and as captain, 150 isn't good enough, really. I mean, you got to do a little bit better than that. He did go for a vice captaincy of Bailey Smith, who got 102. Probably should have just gone with that in the end, but unfortunately thought he'd go for a bit higher, and look, like we mostly expected, we thought he'd do a little better than that. Now, his defence did pretty well. They averaged nicely. The lowest score was 86 to Matt Roberts, so, you know, you take that. In the midfield, James Peatling with the 76. I think he's got rid of him. We'll talk about the trades in a minute, but not too great. Nan Curvis, 84. Really not that good. But other than that, he mostly had the same players as me scoring really well. But the players that he had different to me, you look like Jaden Short, Wanganeen Miller, Jordan Clark, didn't get those really high scores as opposed to mine. Like you got Zach Merrett on my team. You've got a couple of other, you got Max Holmes as well. So really, those are the players that I had slightly different, did get a bit more. So you see his score there. He got 1,983 over the weekend, and his overall ranking from the top 150 has gone right up to 1,022. So not the greatest. He did kind of drop off over the weekend, but I don't think that's too bad. I'm sure he'll respond in the next couple of weeks because I am starting to go all the way up now. He's gone a bit up and down over the last couple of weeks. So having a really good week the week before, this week not so great. But let's get to our trades. So my trades for this week are Closey out for Caden Cleary for Sydney, and I've got rid of Sam de Koning, picking up Jack Bowie. So de Koning, I think that his price has bottomed out. I may change that trade if Reece Stanley does get dropped. But at the moment, it's going to be a bit hard because they've got the Monday game, which means that we won't see the full teams for Geelong and Hawthorn until Saturday, which probably means that I can't change my... Actually, I may be able to change my trades on the fact that Caden Cleary doesn't play until Sunday and Melbourne don't play until Saturday afternoon, I believe. So I may be able to hold off on that trade if the team's coming out early. However, I'm happy with Jake Bowie. His lowest score so far this year is 78. He's scored in 80s and 90s most weeks as well. As a guy who is increasing in price, Sam de Koning's bottomed out now. I think that's a good decision to go with that trade at the moment. Hold that money for the time being. And the reason why I got rid of Closey is he's bottomed out in price. I don't really think he's going to hold his spot much longer. But Caden Cleary, his job security is pretty good for Sydney. Played a little bit in the midfield last week in the gather round game, which was good to see. His price is just continually increasing. So I'm going to be going with Caden Cleary as a forward reserve at this stage. And in the next couple of weeks, I'm trying to look to get rid of either a Davidson or one of my midfield rookies and then upgrade over there. Because at the moment, I'm thinking that that's really where all I can do right now. My defensive rookies are absolutely starring. Bice, Reed, Trainer, and El Harley, all doing brilliantly. So I don't really have to worry about them defensive rookies at this stage. However, looking at the midfield rookies such as Murphy, Reed, Lawler was obviously injured, but not really the greatest. Xavier Lindsay as well. Those kind of rookies, and MERRETT as well, are probably the players that I need to start looking to get rid of at this stage and try to upgrade. And Sam Davidson, I'm keeping him at the moment because his price is still increasing, so I'm pretty okay with that. But he is someone that I've got to start to look for in the next coming weeks, especially with the dual position changes coming with players like Nick Martin getting forward status, I think, and Christian Petrarca, Chad Warner. There are forwards that you can actually go for now. That's not maybe just Zach Rankin, which was really the only one you can go for, and maybe Jai Simpkin. But let's get to my brother's trades. He has gone Max Hall out for El Harley, and he's got rid of James Peatling for Will Ashcroft. So I really hope they don't give El Harley another subs role, because I think he's really adding something to Essendon's ball movement. I think they can really use him. So I think that will be the last time they use him as a sub. And Max Hall, his price has kind of bottomed out now. Did brilliantly for him though, nearly at 500k from a rookie price player. Has done really well. And James Peatling did get his forward status, but my brother said, no, get rid of him. And he thought, why not ruin my team and pick up Will Ashcroft and just ruin his form? But in all seriousness, he has actually brought up a decent point that the Brisbane, in the next couple of weeks, Brisbane have a pretty good run of games. They do have Collingwood this week, but Collingwood don't tend to tag, and I don't think they'll go to Will Ashcroft anyway, even if they were going to try and do a tagging role. So I think Will Ashcroft's in for a good couple of weeks. Knock on wood, hopefully I just didn't ruin his form. But James Peatling out for him. Interesting that he did get forward status, but the thing is as well, he may well have that forward status, but that's not really going to do much for him because he's not really doing much more than 70s at his best. He did have that one good week when Matt Crouch was out, but I don't think that's really a massive deal. And I think an upgrade like that, he's only 200k more, Will Ashcroft, and I think he's much more better output. So I think that's a good decision from him. But let's move to our AFL fantasy ladder. Over the week, we've seen some big changes over here. First of all, I've jumped into 11th spot with a great performance from my team. 2,122, pretty good performance from my team overall. I see a couple of players in those top 11 positions who did really well over the weekend. You look at the Cheetah Cubs, 2,212, absolutely brilliant from him. Timber Ashworth, I don't know who you are if you're watching, mate, really good job from you. I think that's one of the highest scores over the week for everyone, so really good job from him. Have to bring up my man Lucas Martin at the moment, pub feed with sauce. He was in the top, I think he was second in AFL fantasy after round one. He's dropped off the pace, 1,974. He did worse than my brother, so that's not really good enough from him. The problem is, I think I will give Lucas a little bit of a reprieve here on the fact that I think he may have listened to us and may have listened to all the hype that we were giving him, and we've jinxed his team completely. So I am sorry, but he's dropped from first to third for the first time this year. My brother dropped all the way down from, I think he was third or fourth. He's dropped down to 8th spot with his poor performance, but I've jumped into the top 11. I'm pretty happy with that, and love the name, by the way. Top spot right now is Max Saligoat. I really like the name of him. He's jumped into top spot in our league at the moment with 9,828. Leads by only 5 points on Matt Hallows on 9,823. And then Pub Feed with Sauce dropping down with 9,803 at the moment. I am about 100 points off of top spot, so not too bad. It's a pretty big log jam in between about 1st and 11th we're looking at right now. So pretty close battle at the moment in the AFL Fantasy League right now. Seems like you guys are doing really well of it. I think we have about 80 people in the league right now, so obviously there's no more going to be joining, but that's really good to see that me and my brother are doing really well. We're keeping up with a lot of you guys, and at the moment, Max Saligoat, with a great name by the way, leading the AFL Fantasy League at the moment.